Hi, my name is Dave Howell. I'm Senior Manager, Compliance Solutions at RSA, the Security Division of EMC, and we're here to talk a little bit about best practices for managing compliance. Now, if you're a business in the Asia Pacific region, you likely have multiple compliance requirements you need to handle. They may be requirements that come from a government body, so from the governments of Singapore or Thailand or the US if you do business and are publicly traded and deal with Sarbanes-Oxley. If you accept credit card numbers, you may be facing the PCI data security standard, which comes from an industry group, or depending on who you work with from a partner or customer standpoint, those entities may be forcing security requirements upon you that really require you to comply. And of course, as we all know, every organization has internal policy requirements. So once you've actually documented a policy and put it into action, you're bound and required to adhere to it. So the bottom line is, when you look at all these different external pressures, you're starting to recognize that there are multiple compliance requirements that organizations need to follow. So what we're seeing from a best practice standpoint is that organizations are attempting to build common security controls frameworks based on standards such as ISO 27002, which enable them to more easily meet multiple compliance requirements at the same time. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you look at the various compliance requirements that companies in the Asia Pacific region are facing, such as the guidelines from the Singapore Monetary Authority around internet banking, Thailand cyber crime laws, rules in Australia, New Zealand, etc., there's all a high degree of commonality in terms of what's expected of companies. They need to understand risk, build a policy, and put common controls in place. Now, controls are really policies, procedures, or technologies meant to protect data. And if you use a standard such as ISO 27002, it gives you a couple of things. Number one, it helps you to ensure that you're thinking of all the controls you should possibly consider. So for example, IT security directors may not often think about physical security, so the locks on the doors and the cameras on the walls. However, if you're not thinking about physical security and ensuring that those are in place, you may essentially leave a gap open in your program. Now, that's also important from a security and compliance standpoint, because most data protection laws would expect physical security measures to be in place. So by using ISO 27002, you're able to think about and view and analyze and make determinations in terms of the controls you want to put in place, and then you're able to understand which of those align with multiple compliance requirements. Because of these similarities, it gives you a way to determine, if I'm putting a new policy in place or a new control, is it one that is appropriate for PCI as well as Sarbanes-Oxley, as well as the other data protection requirements I deal with, rather than chasing after each of one of those in a silo or individually, which can result in you having either redundant or contradictory policies and procedures, as well as redundant technology. So I'd highly encourage every organization, regardless of the vertical, that's dealing with multiple compliance requirements from governments, partners, customers, or industry groups, to use the ISO 27002 standard in conjunction with other frameworks to really build a common platform for putting in controls that allow them to protect data and meet multiple compliance requirements more easily and cost effectively. I'm Dave Howell, Senior Manager, Compliance Solutions at RSA, the Security Division of EMC.